city of West Tawakoni. I was informed a little over 2 hours ago that the mayor is unavailable to be here tonight due to illness. So I will be conducting this meeting tonight. If you would, please stand for the invocation.
Oh my goodness. She threw you that. What did she do?
Dan?
Yes, loading now. And we're up.
Good evening. We're going to call this meeting of the West Tawakoni City Council Budget Workshop to order. The time is 6:08. I'm Linda Katner. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem for the City of West Tawakoni. I was informed a little over 2 hours ago that the mayor is unavailable to be here tonight due to illness. So I will be conducting this meeting tonight. If you would, please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, thank you so very much for this opportunity that we can meet and discuss these issues as a city. Father, I pray that we will seek your guidance in all things. I pray that we will keep our minds open and make the best decisions that we can make to continue to move our city forward in the way that you would have us to do. Father, I pray your blessings and your care for the people in the path of the upcoming hurricane. Please keep them safe and in your care. Father, please be with us tonight and give us your guidance and your wisdom. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, we had some leftover issues from last evening, and I have some answers to provide to the council concerning the questions that we asked last night. This is concerning several things. CD interest. We have American National Bank sending us over the full listing of the interest that has been paid on the different CDs we have. This will be updated on the September P&L statement that you will be getting for the September meeting. For some reason, all the CDs are paying interest into the general fund budget and will have to be transferred out. But this will be fixed and all interest being sent to each of the prospective CDs that the city has will be set to the correct account going forward. By the way, what I'm reading to you is an email that I received from the mayor. So these are not my statements. I'm just letting you know that this is directly from him as far as the questions are concerned. Item number 2, as far as the occupancy tax being used for the police department, unfortunately, this does not, as the attached report, fit neatly into the 9 categories. For the city to use occupancy tax money, they would have to meet the 2-part test. One being that does it bring heads to the hotel motel rooms? The second list of things that we can specifically spend on once the first test is met, these are things like advertisement and upgrading sporting arenas along with signage. The key to remember is it has to first bring people to the city to stay in our local hotels and motels. This subject is covered clearly in the TML website, and Councilor Milburn and I are very aware of this, and we do know those criteria for that. Item number 3, see the attached Excel file that will show you that the MCBS fund does have interest that is being paid on the account. To date, the checking account has earned $3.39 in interest that is going into the checking account. See attached. By the way, Annette, I did not receive the Excel file attachment to that. As far as the CD goes, this is what information we are getting from Teresa at American National Bank and will have for you at the September meeting. Item number 4, as far as the process for collecting an old fine, this relates to municipal court. Kim does the following. First, she will do a show cause for them to come to court, certified letter sent. Second, she will do a failure to appear, sent certified, additional $285 added to the fine, and report to Omni with an additional $10 fee. Omni will keep them from being able to get driver's license renewed. If Omni does not bring them in, she will send them to collections, parenthesis AMS, for them to start the collection process. Item number 5. Now this brings me to the budget for the police department. I find myself in the same boat as you are. I do not want to lay off the officer, so this is some of the options that I have come up with for you to review, keeping the officer in no particular order. Number 1, the city pays fully for the employee's insurance, which this year would be $834 per employee per month, just for them. We change and make the employee pay for the insurance, that would free up for the general fund alone $70,056. Issue with doing this is I know it would cause a lot of employees to walk. Number 2, if we cut to only paying half of the employee's insurance, that would be $417. This would free up $35,028, which would still come up short for the full-time officer. We would be able to cut the road employee that is seasonal and free up $15,984 within the budget. This would free a total of $51,012. We would have to add another person to Public Works for them to be able to do roads and help in the field. This would come pretty close to the cost of the 4th officer, but this would probably cause a lot of employees to walk again also. Number 3, we could move code enforcement under water sewer, and at the end of the fiscal year, move the money from water sewer to the general fund on paper. This is the recommendation that our neighboring city said. He did not mention which neighboring city that is. We have called the auditor to make sure they don't see an issue with this being done. This would free up $76,266 within the general fund, or any portion that we decided to move from water sewer. Number 4, we cut the city administrator position and moving the city secretary's salary to half water sewer and half general fund, doing what Susan suggested, and making the mayor and city secretary responsible for more. This would free up $27,050.50 within the general fund budget. We could still cut the road person within the general fund, making a total of $43,034.50, and the other expenses on the budget, like FICA and unemployment, which could be under the water sewer fund. Bottom line is I believe none of us are looking to have to cut employees, but these are some of the ideas that I could come up with for keeping the officer. I urge you all to look at the budget, see what you all could come up with to keep the employees and keep the 4th officer. Alan Shoemake, Mayor. One more follow-up to a question that was posed last night. This response is from Chief Kilpatrick. Last night, Councilmember Kevin Featherston asked if donations were allowed to be placed in the police special fund. This morning, I contacted the Texas Attorney General's office and spoke with Susan Wheeler, who is an attorney that works in Chapter 59 Asset Forfeiture Seizure. I explained to Susan that our city has a police special fund that our seizures go into, and we have a line item for donations in that special fund. I asked Susan, are we allowed to do that? Susan responded by saying, if seizures go into your police special fund, then that is your seizure fund account, which you are required to have. The only thing pertaining to donations And your Chapter 59 audit report is for donation expenditures, meaning if you receive a seizure of $20,000 and you as the chief decide you want to donate to the Child Advocate Center or Women in Need, you can donate, and that donation would report under your Chapter 59 audit. Any other type of income going into your asset forfeiture seizure Chapter 59 account, other than seizures, could be considered as commingling funds. Susan suggested that we create a line item in our general fund under income for police department monetary donations. Only use your seizure account for asset forfeiture seizure. Any questions, concerns from the council before we proceed forward?
Linda, I have a question. So,
Please.
okay, you know, these are not always the best. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to go ahead and create a line item in the general fund for the police donation, for when people want to donate. Is that what I'm understanding we want to do?
That's my understanding as well.
Okay, let's do that, because we want, like, if I donate, I want to be able to donate to the police department. Other citizens, all of y'all donate. We need to have a place that we can put that. So let's go ahead and have Annette do that.
Annette, can you hear that? Okay, she heard. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Where have you typically put them in the past, chief? I mean, you've gotten donations in the past. Were you putting them in that fund, or?
I don't put them. They were just given to the city, from what I understand in the conversations
They've
last
been
night.
put in general fund before and put in as miscellaneous income for the police department, but they have been put in that big special fund too, and that's so far.
Can everyone hear Annette's comments?
Yes.
Making sure our microphone's working correctly.
So now we're going to get that fixed, Annette, right?
But we will need to put a income line as well as an expense line.
Yes, there needs to be an income and an expense line put into the police budget.
No, put into the, general fund.
Right.
So are we clear on all of that? Okay.
But at that point, we'll need to come up with some kind of amount. If we want to say 200, you know, or whatever.
Donna, can you hear Annette?
I can, yes.
She's saying we will need to come up with an amount to project for that, as far as income and then an expense item as well.
All right, well, from looking at the last budget, it sounds like the amount we probably want as income is maybe $250 and the expense $250. If that sounds okay with Chief Kilpatrick.
He says that sounds about right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then Mayor Pro Tem, Linda, I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
We were asking about the municipal court fees, and I believe it was Kevin who asked the question, it may have been Chris, but where's the money that's coming into the city from those fees and those fines? Where is it going? Because it's not going back into the municipal court accounts. Is
Correct.
it going into the general fund? And do we have a line item for that where it's going into the city?
It will be a transfer from general fund, from court, and it will go to the security fund or the building fund because they're separated out on the tickets.
Okay, so when I'm looking at in this budget and for what happened last year, I'm not seeing any money coming back in to that.
That is correct. I did that today, and there is an amount already put in there to do a transfer. Susan did that in July, and she made a note and said, please transfer this. So there's money sitting there to go to both of those funds right now. All I've got to do is make a check and deposit it.
Can you tell us what that amount is?
I'd have to pull it off, go and pull it off the ledger. I can tell you tomorrow night.
Okay, please, I'd like to know what that amount is.
It's possible that moving forward, we could have that going into the correct spots more often than just
We can
say
do it like on a quarterly basis.
end of the year or whatever. I mean,
We do our quarterly report, or Kim does the quarterly report for the court. As she does that, then she can give me an amount, and then we can do it quarterly, because
I would think
it
It's
was,
better than your, yeah.
Yeah, I would think that would be at least more acceptable than what we got going right now, just so things don't get lost in the cracks.
And it's more easily monitored that way. All right, is the council ready to move forward with, oh, Rhonda, I'm sorry, I neglected to ask you if you had any input.
I just had one question, Miss Linda, that had to do with the, I think you might have addressed it briefly, but I didn't hear all of it. What was the answer on the hotel motel tax? The questions that were raised last night?
The occupancy tax, excuse me, cannot be transferred. Under Texas state law, there are criteria that money can be used for, and it must reflect that whatever that money is used for, it has to result in people staying in our local hotels, motels, and so the long story short is the money cannot be used for the police department or to help fund that. This is due to state laws, and the council was provided a handout to that purpose. This information is also available on the TML website and the Texas State Comptrollers. But long story short, it cannot be used for anything that does not directly result in our ability to have people stay in our local hotels and motels. And that's commonly is what we call heads in beds. That's the criteria. So
Okay, so it's a specific,
that was the answer that's provided.
right, it's a specific use tax, and that, so that's what made me have that question. But
Yes.
thank you.
Does that answer your question fully?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, is the council ready to move forward with the proposed budget for the water department?
I'm ready.
Ready?
Okay, so cash in the bank. This is the proposed budget for the water department. Cash in the bank is $204,304.17. We have a CD that is in the amount of $317,807. I'm sorry, $317,807.17. There was a carryover on the 2019-2020 budget of $81,976, but that amount is not included in the proposed budget. So, with that being said, the council has their budget in front of them, and we are open to questions. I will first open the question to Councilor Featherston. Do you have any questions concerning the line items for the proposed budget?
No, not at the moment, I don't.
now, can I comment? Okay, the actuals here, or is what's in here at this point, we still have August and September to carry through the rest of the year.
Okay, so this information then is current as of the end of July.
This is July.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Councilor Burkett?
No, not yet, no ma'am.
Rhonda, any questions?
I only had one related to the penalties. Is that gonna be, fines for infractions from TCEQ? Is that what the penalty line item represents?
Okay. Annette, do you want to address that?
I could not hear what she said.
She has a concern on the income line under penalties for proposed budget $27,000. Can that be more specific, please?
The penalties are late fee for water bills.
Did you hear that, Rhonda?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Donna, you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So we have 4 USDA notes, 4 loans, and we have 2 PWDB loans. The USDA notes are 40 years, the PWDB loans are 30 years, and we're paying an interest rate of 4.5%. Is this the time that we can discuss asking for the city secretary or the city administrator to, when we get one, to step in and get those loans refinanced at a lower interest rate? 4.5% is a pretty high interest rate. And I think if we get those notes lowered, we're going to be able to have more money available to us to run as a city.
Somebody's talking, but I can't hear them.
Whoever's talking, we can't hear them.
You couldn't hear me?
No, I could hear you, Donna. Whoever, I think there was somebody talking, answering your question.
And Lynn?
Can you hear us now?
Oh, yeah.
Donna, can you talk?
Yes. And I can hear you now, Annette. Can we get those loans refinanced?
Yeah, we'll have to talk to him and see what's available for us at this point. But yes, we can talk to him and see what we could, do.
I think that's a really smart way to go. 4.5% is a huge interest rate, particularly with the current banking climate, and we can get a much better, lower rate.
Annette, how soon could we schedule that for him to make a presentation?
September, I don't know if we could September,
Okay.
maybe October.
Okay, so roughly within 60 to 90 days? Okay.
Okay, let's do that.
Was that your only question, Don?
Yes, that's actually a plea. Let's please do that.
So Annette, I have a question under income miscellaneous. We had an actual of $1,119.30 and we're estimating $1,200. Can you be more specific on where that's coming from? Okay.
At one point, and I don't know if I'll be honest with you, I've been busy. This is the total of the income. Do not see. But a lot of times when the guys go and sell water meters and stuff like that, small items, that's where we have to put some of that money. And that's just, like the recycling, we do that. And that's what I would think it would go for.
Okay. On the next page, increase for license, water and sewer. Can you tell me a little bit more about, because there was no actuals for that, or what are we anticipating as far as an expense for that? Is that our license to have this?
This is right under salary, so it's increased for, it looks like for the employee to get their license.
Okay, so that wouldn't be under an incentive?
Because if you look at that, there was no actuals in 2017, 2018. We budgeted 4120. Your actuals in 2018, 2019 were only 2080, but we budgeted 7,280. No actuals last year with a budget of 9,360, and then we're going to budget 1040 again.
I think this is one of those situations where you do the transfer to build back up the salary, or it's coming out of the salary. That is kind of like an incentive, but it's listed here as an incentive. I thought it used to be on our budget.
I thought so too.
But it is.
This is, new to me. I can look at what has been spent in these categories, because it does have a line item.
Yeah.
So it's gonna hit a line item, and see this in, an actual for 2018, 2019. I can look back and see what, that was, and I see there was nothing for sewer. So that 10,400, if it is for them to get licensed, I would think it's kind of high.
Yes, I would think so too.
If you don't mind going all the way back up to the top one, description expenses, it's the same way. We're way over budgeting every year.
That's depreciation.
You appreciate, yep, I'm sorry. But we're way over budgeting every year, and we had 0 actuals last year. We're still gonna budget 30,000 in there again this year.
Well, this worksheet
Uh-huh.
is completed and the numbers are put in there. This doesn't come off of QuickBooks. So this isn't built from that. It's built from what Susan puts in there. So maybe the numbers just weren't put in there.
But I think to Chris's point, what he's saying is there's no way for us to make a formative decision if we don't have a number to go off of. The only numbers we do have to go off of are the previous 3 years. Well, I'm sorry, previous 2 years. And we've been 25% of what we budgeted. We've spent 25% of what we budgeted. So if that's the case, then we're just gonna, if you just take simple math when you're budgeting, we'd never increase any budget more than 3% year over year. So if we went all the way back to 18 and we took that $4,400 and we say we're going to count up to 1, 2, 3 more years, then all we would add would be like 9% from 3 years ago, which was an actual. So we'd add 9% to that. So that would put us somewhere around $6,500 is what we should be budgeting for this line. So I would like to see us go back and figure out what the actual for 19 as far as the expenditure on depreciation. And depending on what we find out from that, I'm thinking that this line item right here needs to be around, just from looking at the trends, this line item needs to be somewhere around $6,500.
Yes.
You were talking about the increase for water license.
No, ma'am.
No,
I'm talking about the
depreciation
depreciation.
expense.
Start with your depreciation, yeah.
Yes. So that line item would decrease to $6,500. It is, and that's just simple math going off of our actuals from what we're showing on our budget.
I think she took this number off of what, when he did the budget, not when he did the audit last year, and he come and explained and said that our depreciation was going to be a lot larger because of what
I
was going
understand,
on
I
at that
understand what
time.
you're saying, but I find it hard to believe that because we have a $30,000 number in the past 3 years. So we've just been throwing that $30,000 number in there year after year.
It's hard to approve a budget when it hasn't added up for 2 years consecutive. It looks like a number that's just way inflated without us seeing what actually should be there.
So I don't know where it comes from. I mean,
Right.
No, I
So
understand.
can we revisit that maybe tomorrow night when you have an opportunity
I
to
will
check
have
into
to
that?
contact the auditor because, I don't have Susan's input to know, where it comes from.
Sure. Yeah, we can figure out what 1920 is.
Annette, when you contact the auditor, could you ask them if you could put that number at what Kevin's suggesting at 6,500?
Donna, hold on. We've got an audio issue with your feed. Give us a moment.
Okay.
That wasn't really an audio.
Yeah, that's actually buffering.
That was buffering.
Can you try again, please?
Yes. Annette, could you ask if the auditor will allow us to change that number to 6,500 that Kevin suggested?
If we ask the auditor to change it to 6,500 per Kevin's Yes. Hey, real quick, Leanne, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Are we up and running? I've got citizens messaging left and right that they can't get in. Is there a technical difficulty going on?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along then, I also had a question on our, water overtime. I understand, that we had, a significant shortage of employees for a period of time this past year. We had budgeted, $7,000 for overtime. Sorry, 9,000. Actuals was 22,392.77. We are budgeting this coming year 13,000
That one goes.
for water only. So I have a concern about that amount. Also have a concern on, I would like some clarification, and I believe I already asked this, so I'm being redundant, on the increase for license as to whether or not that's incentive. So if we can check into that, and possibly be a little more clear on what all is included in that amount.
So
Give me a second. Mr. Godwin.
Yes, ma'am. Can we go ahead and move, or look into moving that 18,720 from the license increases on into the salaries instead of having them separate? No, because they're pulling from the salaries, the way I understand it, they pull the salary increase for our licenses out of the salary, way I understand.
Annette?
Well, the reason that it's separated is because it's not sitting there just for the salaries. It's there if you get your license.
Right.
To move that into the salary, I believe would be, not a good move, because there's no determination whether or not the employee passes the test to be able to receive that incentive. And I don't think it would be, can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I just don't think it would be prudent to lump that into salaries, because each employee's salary is determined on his ability to pass the tests required to move up and increase their salary under the current plan.
Well, here's one issue that it would create is because our citizens can request this, okay? So it would make it very convoluted, and somebody got this budget, and if they didn't really know what was going on with it, what they would do is they would take that salary line item, and they'd drive around the city, and they'd count every one of our workers, and they go, well, man, them guys are making whatever. So it would kind of give a really bad perception. I understand what you're thinking, I do, but it would give a really bad perception. But on your overtime, what I was going to say, Linda, is you do see that the water and sewer both have an overtime slot, right?
They do, and there's no
So
actual on the
there's
sewer.
and that's what happened, because I already asked this back several council meetings ago. I asked this question. So what has happened is all the overtime, whether being water or sewer, was going into only the water line item. So actually what we had was, you'll see there, we had $21,000 in overtime for last year's budget. And so we're at 22. So it's not terrible as far as being off on the budget. Now, unfortunately with some of the guys here that work in that department, the comment I'm going to say is probably going to be a kick in the knee. But is the overtime number really high? The actual, I would say absolutely. Okay. And for number one, I don't want these guys to have to work that much overtime. Right. unfortunately, in the situation that we've been in, we were shorthanded, I understand that. But when you're shorthanded, then too, they have to have rest. They have to have reset time. And you're not going to be that productive putting in that much overtime. So I think we need to really rethink that and try to figure out what is driving us to get to this number. But we really don't have a big increase over last year as far as what we budgeted in both lines.
We really don't know.
Rhonda, you have anything on that?
I do not.
Donna?
Our auditors have mentioned to me that a lot of our accounts, they wish that we could combine some of our accounts. Some of them we can't, which are our loans and stuff like that. But like situations where we're breaking out water and sewer, it's water and sewer department. And you see there's so many of them that broke out, and there would be adjustments that need to be made. I think they need to be combined. You just need to account for how many water employees you have and how many sewer employees you have.
It'd look better than leaving it blank.
And it would be a whole lot easier, for our auditors as well.
Yes.
Well, my thought to that though is, excuse me, when you kind of drill down into this and you see what's creating the overtime, whether it's a water issue or a sewer issue, it kind of helps delineate maybe some problem areas that we need to look at, and you would be able to more closely pinpoint where are we spending most of our overtime problems there? Is it our water lines? Is it our sewer lines? Are we having leaks more in water, more in sewer? So that would direct where the money would go to be able to do those repairs. So that's kind of where I was going with that. I can understand what you're saying about combining them, but by leaving them separate, it gives you a little bit more opportunity to drill down into those things and see where your problem areas are to more readily allocate the funds it would take to fix the issue.
And to piggyback off what you're saying, it has to stay that way, because if we ever want to try to get our grant writing going, then we can use this kind of stuff for reasons for grants. Okay, we can use this for weight and leverage. Now, what we have to do within our departments in the field and in the office is we have to start doing a better job of making sure we're coding this time correctly in order to make it hit the right line item, because then we can never paint that picture. We can never say, well, we're having huge problems with water lines, or we're having huge problems with sewer lines, which I know what the answer is if I ask any person working in the field right now. But we have huge problems with both. I get it, I understand, but what we all have to do as a team is buy into this thing. Okay, we have to buy into it and say, okay, these little steps like this, we have to see the long-term goal. If we take these little steps, then it helps us hit the mark at the end. And it helps us get the better water lines and get the better sewer lines and get the better machines to work with and all these things. But we all as a team have to make these baby steps in order to be able to make it all the way to the end zone. Does that make sense?
Any further comments from the council before we move along? Okay, my next concern under this, kind of the same concept, is equipment rental for water and sewer. Excuse me, we have equipment rental of $2,117.96 under water, but nothing under sewer.
I think that's the same. You're dealing with the same thing there, honestly.
You are.
But my question is, are we exploring all of the avenues as far as what equipment we are renting that we could possibly borrow from another city, such as the fact that we borrow the dump trailer from City of Point from time to time? Are we tapping into resources where we could possibly save on some of these fees to have that equipment?
So I think the first thing we would do is we'd defer to Cody and ask if he could just give us a little insight of what do we rent.
Well, since I've been with the city, the only thing we rented was a 6-inch diesel pump when we was doing rehab in our wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
That's the only thing we've rented, to my knowledge, in the past year.
That's gonna be sort of a toughie to just go borrow from somebody.
Okay, but depending on what the equipment is.
Yeah, and I think they've been doing that to a degree. I believe that this would actually look a little bit different to you if we had it coded correctly.
I'll back up one real quick. It's just a small one, but your janitorial supplies. It's another one that we're just way over budgeting for. Your actuals versus, even when you take your water and sewer and combine them, your janitorial supplies last year, we spent $134.95, but we're gonna budget $2,000. I think we can take that way down.
Yeah, that should not be much more than 550, 575.
Concern on that, Chris, when I'm looking at this, is that back in 2018, 2019, we actually, on janitorial supplies between the two, spent $1,127. And so when it says actuals for 2019, 2020, and there's zero on the sewer side of it, it makes me wonder, was that actually zero?
Yeah, because you go all the way back to 2016 or 2017, 2018, it shows we only spent $27. And then again, this last year, 2019, 2020, $134.95. So either we're not getting these numbers filled in right, or we're way over budgeting.
Here's what we're dealing with. The 18, 19 numbers, that's gonna be, we're combining water and sewer into that number. That's where we came up with 1105, okay?
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Both of these line items should be $550.
So if we take each 550 between the both of them,
550 each, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because in 2020, 19, 20, you're missing your number. So just take last year's number, right?
Yep.
And you could take that number and we could budget 550 for each one of them
I go with that.
and still be safe.
Keep it up high enough.
it's the same, yes.
But we have to start making sure we're able to code these things correctly. That way, to Linda's point, we can target or pinpoint our problem areas. That way, you don't know what to fix. This budget, when you go to a car dealership, put the car into a computer and they do a diagnosis on your car, and it tells them, this is what's wrong with your car, that's what this budget is for our city.
Sure.
That's what this is for. This is to diagnose what is going on in our city and see what our heartbeat is and to see if we're about to have a freaking heart attack or a stroke. That's what this thing is.
Ron, do you have anything you want to say?
No, ma'am?
Are there any further comments before we move along?
I just want to make sure I understand, Linda. So from what we've discussed on this page, on the very first depreciation expense, we're going to lower the 30,000 down to 6,500. On the overtime for water and sewer, we're going to look at that, but we're going to leave that at 13,000 under water and 10,000 under sewer. On the janitorial supplies for water, we're going to lower that to 550. On the janitorial supplies for sewer, we're going to lower that to 550. And we're going to leave the equipment rental for water at 1,000 and for sewer at 1,000, just in case we're going to try and borrow anything we can. But we'll leave that in the budget just in case we do have an upset and we do need to do some rental this next year. And those are the changes we've agreed to on this sheet. Is that correct?
So far.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, let's move down to, I had another question on tower inspections. Is this, our employees that are doing these tower inspections, or is this something that has to be contracted to do?
These are contract.
Contract, okay?
So again, when I look at that one, I'm seeing budgets, but no actuals up until this last year. This last year, it was only $1,177 with a budget of $2,500, but then I'm gonna budget $4,000 this year. I think we can cut that in at least half. We're not showing that we're using it.
Well, we have more towers now. I mean, we have more tanks now that they go in and they inspect and they take pictures of and give us the reports. So,
We have more as of this year or as of,
as of this budget year, this coming budget year, that will need to be, they didn't have to be inspected from the first year.
Okay,
I don't know what cost.
can we find out what that cost per inspection is and how many we actually anticipate needing to do this year?
Okay, are we good with that to move on?
On that one, yes. I mean, we can't do anything with it until she can get us that information.
No, I'm not done with this page. Okay, let's go down to, contract labor for water. We have actuals for 2019-2020 of 17,883.20. Budget for 2019-2020 was 14,000. Looks like we're doubling that amount for proposed budget to 28,600. So can someone elaborate why we're doubling that amount coming up?
Taking out the sewer and it's all moved up to the water. That is for Mark, that is still our licensed operator,
Okay,
and that is for Albie that reads our meters.
okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, anybody else? Kevin,
well, I'm trying to figure out this salary number.
where are you on salaries, water, sewer?
Yes, ma'am. 1261-102, 1261-102 dash, or dot one. Our actuals for last year is 210-289.55. And our proposed budget for this year is 283-775. So I'm trying to find that $72,000. Quick math for me.
Are you adding them together?
Ma'am,
Are you adding them together?
am I adding what together?
The water and sewer accounts.
Yes.
That, this week.
Yeah, because that's a big chunk, that's 70 grand.
Well, the reason why I'm adding them together is because we have another situation where we're not coding stuff correctly because the sewer salary is only showing 55.77.30 for the year of actuals. So that's telling me right there that we didn't code our salaries correctly. And we got 204.712.25 in water. So we don't have actuals, we just have numbers.
This was set by Susan.
Oh, I know, and then I get really,
I mean, it's,
Energetic.
yeah.
no, I mean,
Well, I'm a
I know
coach,
that.
I mean, I
but
coached for kids for so long, I just get really
I'm kind of
into
like
it.
at the place where, you know, I don't even know if Alan was more versed on this himself,
Right.
but,
But right there, we're gonna have to, that's gonna have to be a question of figuring out. I'm not seeing how that even works out. I'm gonna give you the number so you can write that number down. But, well, let me not do the actual. I'm gonna give you what the budget was last year for the two of them. took that down, but we've got 2 months, right?
Mhm.
Only 1 month left?
So we've got,
You got the
I
rest
don't
of
know
August
when
plus
these numbers.
September.
August isn't in here, and then September.
So August
I'm
is not.
saying August, I don't know, I know she stopped July, because that was when she was last working.
Okay,
The
well,
last week of July.
I think we can all absolutely agree we don't have $71,000 worth of, or $72,000 worth of salaries left for.
2 months, we better not.
Water sewer's an average of about 6,500 a paycheck. That'd be, well, about 25,000.
I was gonna guess, I was just gonna throw a $30,000 number in there, so we're half of what we've got left there, more than half. That's $33,000 sitting right there. So I guess the question would be, is what is this actual encumbersome? What is there, right? Is it August? Is it July? What is it?
Would have to be the end of
And
July. 'cause
the
August
second part of that
is-
question is, what is the cost for water sewer through the end of this year at our current salaries? That would be able to give us the figure that we would need to say what these,
Yes,
what this
what this
salary
really
budget
needs
should
to
be.
be.
I'm thinking, and what I'm looking at, it needs to be somewhere around $240,000, maybe 245 versus 283. Between the two of them.
And when I calculate it, Kevin, I'm coming up with 250,000. So somewhere between at the higher end, if we do 25,000 for August and 25,000 for September, which is a little high. So somewhere between those two numbers, we ought to be able to get that number down. That gives us more money in our budget.
That was for both. That was for both months. That was not per month.
The 25 was for both months.
Well, yeah, but I don't think the 25 for both months works. Let me tell you why. When you add up the amount and it's for 10 months, you divide it by 10, that gives you 21,000 per month. So 21,000 for August and 21,000 for September. So it'd be 42,000.
I understand what you're saying, but we got to find out if there's August money in here already before we can make that decision.
That's
I mean-
true. And that doesn't know if August is in here.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
That's part of the question. So we need to find out what does this actual include, right? Where's this stop at? And then what does it take us to make it through the end of our fiscal year? And then we'll know what that number is, then we can set this budget.
And Annette, can you get that to us by tomorrow?
Well, I am doing payroll tomorrow. It's gonna be hard for me to pull these numbers.
Linda, can you get a hold of Susan and ask her if this is the number for August is included in this salary or it's not?
Don, I have no way to get in touch with Susan. I have no contact information for her at this time.
You think Alan will know?
Possibly.
Because this is a big deal. That's a $21,000 difference.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying, I haven't been provided any contact information for her whatsoever since she left.
Okay.
All right, so here's an easy way to do this. We're doing payroll tomorrow. It's pretty easy to figure out what is our payroll for our water sewer department, and we can get within $5,000 or so. Okay, it's not rocket science. So we should be able to look at our payroll tomorrow and say, all right, well, our payroll for water sewer is going to cost us this, and then we take a calculator and we put it to that number and we add it all up. It's pretty simple math. You can give us that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? It's pretty easy.
That'll be close enough to know whether
It's
we
easy
can take
division and multiplication.
$30,000, $40,000 out of there.
It's easy division and multiplication.
I have a question. Rhonda McKeon. On these salaries through, water and sewer, are they segregated? Say, for example, Susan as the city administrator, what portion of the budget does her paycheck come out of? And is it segregated by, say, we're going to say approximately 50% of what she does is water sewer related? So would that mean that 50% of her salary came out of water sewer while the other 50% came out of another fund? Or, and is that what's happening? And if so, is that accounting for the discrepancy?
Her salary come out of water sewer, my salary comes out of general fund. We both do half and half instead of taking that money and splitting it back and forth. Our salaries were pretty close, so it's left in those funds. So the city administrator's salary comes out of water sewer.
Okay, so you just halved it and then that's how it came out. Okay, that makes sense.
But there's no money transfer.
Anybody else before we move along? Okay, next page. Any concerns on this page? Kevin?
Not at the moment. Give me another second to look over it. I
Okay,
didn't see anything stood out.
okay. Chris?
I'm just saying, give me just a second.
Donna, any concerns on this page?
Yes, there's a couple of places where I think we can decrease our proposed budget following the same line of reasoning that we've been using so far. So if you go to printing and advertising in water and sewer, and you notice that the actuals for 2019, 2020 are only $607, but the proposed budget is $1,500. I don't think we need to do that. I think we could drop that, down to 700 on the water and nothing on the sewer, or divide it up, 350 and 350 in each of those.
Okay,
I like the 350 and 350, that kind of
But
keeps.
if we have a violation in something, we do have to send out notices, or like they have gone and had to pass out letters before. So there would be printing involved. And annually you have to do the CCR, which, the postage on that alone is really high, but it's not in the printing here, but,
I thought I saw an entrance here for CCR.
but last year there wasn't nothing put there.
But Annette, we've got a line already for postage where we've increased the budget for postage for water to 5,000 and for sewer to 2,000. So that should cover our postage costs.
Yep.
And we did print out and mail information to the citizens at least 3 times in the 2019 to 2020, because I recall getting all 3 of those. So I do think if we decrease the printing and advertising a little bit, that'll just free up, a little bit of money for us.
Take them down to 350 each. I agree on that.
Rhonda, you have any thoughts on that?
I kind of agree with what Donna's saying about halving it. We still, we have to budget. We don't know if there's going to be a water issue that arises. There may not have been that many this year, but there may be more next year. I just want to make sure that we're not cutting ourselves short. If something should happen, we need to be able to cover the cost.
Anybody else?
On the garbage fees, since we haven't even came to a conclusion on contracts yet, trying to figure out. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
If I look at what we've been spending, it's pretty close.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me is we're showing an actual of 760 for this year.
That's polycarps.
Right, but if you look back, we're at 18, we went over the 18,000 mark in 19. So I just want to make sure we're covered. I think we might be. I mean, we're
We're
obviously
pretty close on
probably
that.
gonna
You're
have,
looking at,
we're probably gonna have a few more residents. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm trying to think outside there. I'm not sure. I shouldn't be. 1,000, which that money that came out of here could go right to there.
So if you just went up the 800 that we took out and just move it down there.
Yeah, maybe make it 18.8. Only reason why I'm saying that is you see where we're so close to our budget on our actuals, right?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't want to just take away from everywhere. We want to look at negatives too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So I'm thinking the money we're taking out of the printing and advertising should go into the poly cards, especially since we don't even have an agreement made yet. Hopefully we don't shoot ourselves in the foot.
So add 800.
yes, ma'am.
Sound good to you, Linda?
Donna, you okay with that?
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Rhonda?
Yes, ma'am, I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Anything else on this page?
Well, looking at the electrical repairs for the sewer and water. I don't have anything last year, but I budgeted the same. The year before, I only had 2215, but I budgeted 5,500. Are we anticipating something there and it's just not spelled out, or is there something going on out there? We're looking at electrical repairs with the water or the sewer plant?
Majority of the electrical usage for somebody to come repair the lift station or our pumps out there at the wastewater treatment plant. But
What about that compressor at the water plant? Did we have to get an electrician for that?
we haven't done that yet.
See, we do have a repair.
So we do have a repair coming. And that's all I'm saying is that we budgeted it last year and didn't do it. And then we've been getting high every year and not using it. What are your thoughts? Think we could leave it as is, or we just
Leave it.
leave it?
Yeah, I think.
I would leave it.
That one's, I like the big enough impact, but then too, you never know with electrical.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with pumps.
Ron, anything on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Before we move on to this page.
See anything else that really stands out? Everything's anything?
All right, moving on to the next page. Kevin, you have anything? Okay, Chris,
Not just yet, no ma'am.
Donna,
No, I thought most of the numbers on this page were pretty good, but I did want to ask, are we looking, when you go to the sludge disposal, are we looking at needing more money for that? The actuals last year were 8,125, which was significantly higher than what we had in 2018 and in 2017. We're now budgeting 8,000 in one line and 2,000 another. That's 10,000. Are we expecting to have a problem?
Well, in the past, there was very little that they were moving there. I know they only had one haul off at one point when we did the sludge report for the DMR that was turned into the state. This new employee that we have, he's keeping up with the sewer plant pretty much on a regular basis, isn't he?
Yes, ma'am, he's done there 8 hours a day.
And so he's down there at the sewer plant. So if they come in and do inspections, I feel like we're gonna be pretty safe down there now. Because he's got a lot of it cleaned up. There probably will be more hauled off and it'll be on a regular basis.
So you feel
Okay.
that the budget amount that's allocated then is adequate? Rhonda, anything?
Yeah, I was looking at that. We don't really know with the rainy season and stuff coming, we could have high I&I or something that might cause us to have to do extra things, but, I can only base it on what I'm seeing for the years provided for us.
Question I got.
I'm ready. We can move.
So I guess, is this the chlorine building, I guess, maintenance and repair, water?
Can you speak a little bit?
1263206.
Okay.
What building that is?
CH Building Maintenance and Repair Water. He's asking what building that is?
That's here,
That's
City Hall?
City Hall?
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out, we have no actuals at all, period. And we took that budget from 500 to 2,000.
Yeah.
No actuals for the last years at all. And then you're at from 5,500 to 2,000.
So I mean, that's a,
Well, to be honest with you, I think it should be split in half for both of those because remember when Randall was here and this sewer out here is a major problem?
When we had to replace the bend in it, yeah.
And there is still a problem. And he said it could create a big issue here for the City Hall building. But now as far as water,
We had to completely redo our sewer tap too, or behind the building. It was completely, we had to tear it out and redo it.
I'm looking at this, I don't see actuals, so
that's why, because it wasn't done. We still sit on it and did it on.
I think they put that in there because we were anticipating a future problem back there.
but you said we tore out some stuff back there.
Right. We replaced that whole line behind City Hall. The whole entire sewer line that ran from the.
It's the one that come out.
The one that
And
come
now
out.
see, it's under the slab and he said it is eventually going to be a slab issue as well.
Don't our guys do that?
Well, not up in the building.
Mhm. Not
So you actually-
not going into concrete. Not foundation. That happened in 2015.
I remember we were flooding.
Yeah, we were flooded. We come here in the morning, it was completely flooded in sewer on both sides.
So after those repairs, have we had anything significant since then, or are
The
we
only
biding our
problem-
time? Where are we at?
We're just biding our time. We haven't had any, we haven't done anything.
Yeah. We did put.
Okay, but are we
double
still
clean
having significant issues, or we're just waiting for that?
The main issue that we have right now is water is coming in the back of the building when it rains.
Which is that's a dirt issue, that's a drainage issue, not anything with sewer.
It's coming between the walls there.
Right. I guess you two gentlemen have been working here a minute. If there's been problems here at City Hall with sewer backup, y'all would have been notified over the past year or so.
Mhm.
Has that been anything y'all been privy to?
No, it hadn't.
So I would say that we've maybe rectified our problem to a degree. Now, we need to have money in there to make repairs, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if the sewer line coming into the concrete is bad, $2,500 isn't gonna fix it.
No, it's not 50,000.
So at the end of the day, we're gonna have to go into a different place. So what I would like to see happen is let's just make this 500 in each. Because we haven't had anything that we've had to pay attention to other than maybe right now, if something happens, we have the guys come up and put some opener in it, or they clean it, they run the machine. So I think we need to drop the water to 500 and leave the sewer at 500.
Agree.
You agree, Chris?
Yes, I agree.
Rhonda?
Yeah, I'm okay with that unless the other shoe drops, then it might not be enough.
Wait. Annette, was that 2,000 put in there to address the water line issue if we found where it connected to go to City Hall?
I don't know.
Well, Chief, it looks to me like we've been budgeting 2,000 in there year after year after year and not using it.
That was the reason why.
We don't want,
Yeah.
we have no idea where water comes in this building.
Yeah, we have to
If
find
this,
it.
if a water line broke, the building would be flooded and we couldn't turn it.
We don't know where the tap is. We did.
We
That's why the
did,
parking
out
lot's
the
were
whole
open.
front of the parking lot.
Oh, okay. Let's, move along, because we're watching our time here. Anything else on this particular page before we move forward?
Well, the USDA, that, again, I'm showing no actuals, but I'm budgeting year after year after year. That's $5,000 budgeted, but I'm not showing any actual payouts.
It's not hitting the right line.
On which one?
That
USDA 10-year payments, water.
126,3202.
Yes. Is that one that you can find out what the actual was, so we can determine if we need to be leaving $5,000 in there?
Well, and Annette, I'd like to understand, we were given the USDA payments on the first couple of pages of this budget. So we know how much money we're paying. What is this? Why is it in two different places? Because we're paying more than 5,000.
I thought it was at the back. USDA, phase 3 payments.
Yeah, mine was at the front, phase 1 and 2.
Right here. And it's 5,000, I would put 14,305. I'm thinking that's in two spots.
What's the number?
Yeah, see, I don't understand why we have that line item for 5,000. That's because that's not what we're paying on these debts. Wish it was.
Right?
So can we look at that and revisit that tomorrow then? And
I don't see a USDA.
So 126,3202.
That's the
1, 2, 6,
that's the
3,
10-year
2, 0,
payment.
2,
That's what I
yes.
was saying. Yeah, that's the one that's the 10-year payment. That's one I was gonna look at. Now, you're saying it's elsewhere?
Well, what it has on here is we're budgeting it each year, 10,000 2017, and we never actually spent. It's blank. We budgeted 5,000 for 2018. It's blank. We budgeted 5,000 for 2019. It's blank. So here we are budgeting another $5,000 for it, and I don't see where the $5,000 comes into what it is on our notes. On our notes, like if you do the USDA payment for phase 1, we have phase 1 and 2, the loan amount was $1,081,000. And we have the list of what we're paying at that 4.5% interest rate. I don't understand what this is, why it's being budgeted here like this for 5,000.
I don't know. I'll have to check.
Okay.
okay, anything else on this page? Okay, moving forward, next page. I have a question on other water and other sewer. Can we get clarification on what's included in those two line items, please? Because we had an actual of $2,364 and don't know for water, and then $526 for sewer.
Go back up one to the city match for the water grant. What are we anticipating that 5,000? What grant are we anticipating for the water? The grant that's showing here, $5,000 for the water city match. Are we anticipating a water grant this year?
Not on knowledge, I know we were historically looking at trying to relay water main for the Arrowhead edition.
But you don't know that that's what this is for?
No, sir, I do not.
Is that something you can check, Ned? Is that, I mean, if we're anticipating that, and that's all good, but if we're not anticipating that, I'd like to know why we just got $5,000 laying there that we could use somewhere else.
Well, there would already have to be a grant kind of in motion.
Correct.
To know what your match is, so that's just a number.
Now, if we're not even eligible for another year, correct, then that's $5,000 right there.
That's just a number that's,
So let's take that out because we haven't applied for that grant yet.
right. If there's no grant applied for, there's no reason for it to be there. So, I mean,
Let's remove it.
that needs to be gone.
Okay. Rhonda, you have anything?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that it needs to be gone. I think for us to say that it needs to be gone, we might want to determine what it is.
It clearly shows that it states a grant. So the way that would be is if you have a grant, you're gonna have to have a certain amount to match your grant. So
Right. So,
the line item does say city match grant for sewer. So if there's not a grant currently right now that is already written and applied for, we're not getting it this next year. You're
right, and that's what I'm saying, Kevin. I don't know if there is or not. So I wouldn't want to say remove that in case there's already something in progress that we are unaware of at this very minute.
So Cody is telling us though that there's not one in progress.
Anybody
We're
eligible?
not even eligible.
We're not eligible.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't hear that part. Thank you, Cody.
He just said it, Rhonda.
Okay.
so that you know that.
All right. Donna, anything else?
Nope.
Ask on the road bore as well. For the water and sewer, we have been budgeting, but we're not using it. Are we anticipating to be boring under the road? That we need to leave that $4,000 there?
This is if somebody comes in and pays for a bore, pays for a water, road bore, sewer, and, this would be the construction for a home or something like that. And we, our guys haven't had that. They've been cutting it open cut on most of the stuff right now, so we don't know.
Correct, but if somebody comes in, they pay for the road bore, it shouldn't be in the city's budget line. Because I paid for my road bore.
It's gonna be in the income, and here it goes out in the expense. This is the expense part.
Input.
But it shouldn't be in or out of the city at all because the citizen pays for it.
Right.
You still have to budget it.
It'd be an income and outcome, but, we'd have to find it on the income
Okay.
to make sure it's there.
Yeah, just to make sure, because we've been budgeting it and we're not using it.
Well, but you never know if you're gonna have an emergency road
See,
bore
road
for some
bore,
reason. I'd rather
She's
have
got,
it.
she's got $4,000, but she doesn't have it broke out. She's got road boards.
So that's it.
Yeah. but
We
then
had,
it's
this
used.
has been really expensive, we hired somebody before to come in and
Yeah.
work, right?
They pay it and it's gonna go right here. And when we pay the person to do it, it comes out here
Remember they did that emergency road order 276. what year
We
was that?
canceled out.
2 years
Two
ago.
years, 2 years ago, we
Right
did
in
an
front-
emergency
in front
road
of-
order
In front of
276.
Sandy Lynn, right there.
Okay. But
Well, if we did it, we didn't, it's not here, it's not showing up on our actions.
Well, then that's, I mean, that's what we talked about a while ago. I mean, we've got to try to start. We want to have, if we want to have a true vision and we want to try to hit the mark, we've got to have these numbers.
the police,
Anything else on this page?
The ground storage tanks.
Ground storage tanks, okay? That's a loan,
These are loans that we're paying back.
these are payments on a loan that we're paying back.
So last year, and the reason why I'm asking is, if you all look at your actuals are going down year on year. Okay? We seeing that?
Yep.
So our actuals go down. If you look, we're just gonna call it somewhere in close to the neighborhood of $8,000, something like, or $10,000, somewhere in there. But yeah, and we're showing to go down this year over last year. We're 68,000 last year. So why do we need to go up?
Why are we going up on it? Yeah.
What's changing that hasn't happened in 3 years past?
So your actual is showing a downward trend,
But now we have.
but now you're budgeting an upward trend.
Okay, but did we not just add a ground storage tank this past year?
No, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I'm asking.
So that
Last
would
night,
be,
well, last night when we were, you had the breakouts of the loans. And it shows you how much is due for the payments. And in 2021, we're gonna owe 30,000 in principal and 23,800 in interest for this particular loan. And I'm sure there is another.
That's 53,800. So where do we get 78,000?
It still followed the smaller downward trend.
We
but
still owe on another one, which is the pad, which is the page right up above the other one. And 2021, we owe another 12,549.60. So that's where it is. It's for those two loans.
Add both of them together.
The pad is what was the planning and design of the sewer
That's
plant.
still at 66,000.
Yeah, take 12 off of that.
That's 66,000.
It's still over budget.
I mean, even if we said for safe purposes, 68,000, because we just do quick math, we can take 20,000 off that. I think it's 68,233, or 68,323, sorry. I
Should just
look
take
back.
10 off of it.
Well, my glasses didn't work. Oh, I don't have it. I'm good if I didn't lean back.
Well, no, I'm wrong. Okay, look down below. The pad is down below. That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the 12,000 right there.
There's your 12,000, so
So the 78,000 is two of these loans. I'll need to add them together and see which ones they are.
Yeah, see which ones, because it looks to me like that rather than 78, it should be 53,800.
But
Let's put that, well, you said you're doing payroll law too, but we've got to try to figure out a way to get these questions.
Ground storage.
But we only have two TWDB loans that were in the letter. And those two loans are the 12,715, which is down here on the line item,
Yep.
And then the ground storage is 53,800. So I don't know where that additional money is going into that.
Okay, we have the USDA payment, which comes out of the water sewer. It comes out February and August. And it is,
The USDA payment's gonna fall into these.
that's 52,000. It's 2,875.
And you've got the USDA phase 3 payment at the top of the page at 156,000.
And you got phase 1 and phase 2 up above that for 27 and 16.5.
Yes.
I'm sorry. 16.5 and 43.
So I just really think that number can come down to 53,800. And, you know, if we're wrong, find it, let us know. But that would be a great savings if we're able to do that on this budget.
What line item is that?
Hey, this is line item 1263211, ground storage tank, the TWDB loan for water.
Okay, thank you.
And Rhonda, if you go to the front of our notebook, it gives the specifics on each loan and loan amount. And for 2021, our total payments on that loan is 53,800, not 78,323.
Right.
But I'll try to get a hold of Susan and ask her, okay, which two are combined there? Because that's more than one.
Everybody hear that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Anything else on this page? And I have a question on line item 1263223, 2020 Chevrolet half-tons vehicles lease. Can somebody, for 15,882.
I think Cody's gonna talk to you about that one.
Okay,
He's waiting to.
So that'll be I will understand our for three vehicles for the 3-year contract, that 15,882 for 3 years, correct? Okay. Basically what I'm doing with that is replacing my current fleet vehicles that I have we were paying more to try to keep it on the road than we could use that money into getting a newer vehicle to pay, where we don't have to pay as much into keeping it on the road, we just pay for the vehicle. And to the best of my knowledge, every 3 years we get a new fleet of vehicles. So every 3 years we get, like I said, we get a brand new fleet, 3, and I believe we can keep adding on to that. We can add more than just the 3 vehicles. If we, down the road, we want to add more.
Basically, it'll cut down in maintenance costs, because you're always responsible for tires and oil changes. If something goes wrong with the truck, they will come out here and replace the truck with another truck.
The water department hasn't had what we consider a service vehicle to actually go and do the daily work in the city since 2011. They experienced a lot of cost repair this past 2 years. They had situations where they're actually having to use matter of fact, right now, I believe are you still using the white Ford double cab truck that was ours in the back? Or was it this week y'all had to use that?
Yes.
Yeah, they're currently having to use that too right now. The plan here is that these vehicles with this lease purchase is what the majority of municipalities are doing right now. And what it does is it takes the maintenance expense that you would have, takes it away from it. When they go get their oil changed, they're actually going to go, Enterprise has a contract in Quinlan, which I think is pit stop. And so they're actually going to only have to put tires on it. Now, once these vehicles reach a certain mileage, and there is no mile restriction on a municipal lease, by the way. So you don't have to worry about these guys. With most lease purchases that you do that are conventional lease purchases, you're capped at 15,000 miles a year. With this plan right here with the municipal lease, there's no mile restriction on it. Once these vehicles reach the year or the 3-year mark, the city does have the lease options as you would in a conventional lease, whether or not you want to purchase the remaining balance of the vehicle and keep it, or you contact them and they send you 3 more vehicles, and then you're back to square one.
When you trade them back
Right.
to them.
You trade them back to them and they auction them off. However, you do receive, say these vehicles, we owe $3,000, $4,000 on them. If we do owe $3,000 or $4,000 on them and these vehicles go to auction and they bring $8,000, you get that money.
Wow.
You,
Positive equity.
right.
Right.
It's a positive equity that you get, that the city gets back. So
But that coin does roll both ways.
yes, that coin does roll both ways.
And so,
If you reach the 3-year mark and they send the vehicles off, within the vehicles, then you get 3 new vehicles. These vehicles are going to come outfitted for the water department. They're going to come with their lights on it, correct? They're supposed to come with the yellow light on, aren't they? They're supposed to be set up ready for them to work. The original plan is that they were going to look at getting 2 service or 3 service vehicles and a possible truck with a utility bed on it that they're able to put their pumps on, they're able to put their patches in, they're able to put their equipment on, so they're not having to run back and forth to the water plant when they're out fixing the water leak. They have it ready there for them to go. But they haven't received the vehicles since 2011, and they're putting Band-Aids over Band-Aids with these ones they have right now.
Well, I know that I've asked on numerous occasions, and through several public works supervisors, that they take vehicle maintenance logs and that they do weekly maintenance checks. We're still getting vehicles that I'm seeing pushed beyond what they should be, just as far as wear and tear going in and out of the plant. I'm concerned, no matter whether we get leased vehicles or purchased or whatever, whether or not we're really taking as good a care and maintenance on the existing vehicles, which makes it hard for me to consider brand new vehicles unless we're maintaining standard maintenance records that we can go back to. And I've been asking for that for 2 years now.
And that makes perfect sense, because you have to do maintenance checks on the vehicles. In our police department, the officers are required to do them every Friday. It has to be done. There's some cities out there on that. Everybody knows that on a Friday that's a slower day than what's normal out there. And I've talked to Cody about it before, when he's been over talking to me, is that you got to take that time to PM your equipment, PM your vehicles, get your backhoe, make sure all your hydraulic lines are up to stuff, make sure that everything's greased and ready to go.
But Brandon, it's not just that, it's reporting that you're doing that. If
Exactly.
you get a vehicle that has a repetitive problem and this is not recorded, then you can't pinpoint where the problem is actually originating, whether it's through the operator or the vehicle itself or from the source that we got it from. I feel strongly that multiple times a day, a walk-around inspection is in order before you get in the vehicle.
Oh, absolutely.
We talked about.
Walk-around inspections should be mandatory these vehicle maintenance logs should be kept weekly and available for inspection anytime anybody asks for them.
Agree.
That's just as important as any safety feature that we might implement. And I have serious concerns as to whether or not that's being done on a regular basis, and responsibility taken for each individual's vehicle, that it's up to them to maintain and respect the vehicles and equipment that we entrusted them. That's,
Your logs and your reports, I would put that on your administrator or your supervisor, that should be a process that's put in place
As a
as
policy.
a policy.
But we'll have,
So,
hold people accountable.
Basically, you shouldn't get in any one of them vehicles on a daily basis without doing a quick walk around and checking certain things.
and I don't disagree with you. Of course, that's obviously, it's probably forced to ride at a different time.
Yes.
But, so I get, both of you guys have driven the city trucks. How many miles would y'all say per year you would put on a city truck?
I'd say anywhere between a year, 18 to 20-ish.
18 to 20,000?
If any are public works.
Public work.
Okay, so that kills us on this whole project because we've got a 12,000 mile per year.
But if I'm not mistaken, there's like he was just saying, there's no mileage
No, there is.
on the
On
municipality.
the enterprise information we got, it's 12,000. It's 12,000 for the city trucks and it's 25,000 for the police vehicles. So in order for us to do this, we would have to do some renegotiating.
Can we validate that?
We can.
It's here. That's
I mean, it's here,
Right,
so
Can we against?
we can, and then that's why I'm bringing it up. So if somebody can figure that out or find that out or call somebody tomorrow, and we can put that as our question, and we can come back to this tomorrow and answer all of our other
Yeah.
questions. But we need to know that. We need to know that.
Oh, yeah,
Because
definitely.
that's a killer. And it is 48 months, it's not 3, so it's 48 months, not 3. It's 4 years. Okay? So it's a 4-year deal, so that means we'd have to take care of these trucks for 4 years. And so my company that I work for, that truck out there that I'm driving, that's an enterprise fleet vehicle. That's my company truck out there. Those vehicles have to be taken very good care of, because I'm telling you, that coin will flip real quick. Okay? One of the biggest things, and I don't know if our city has a policy, but it's something for another conversation, but smoking in vehicles. You know, I smoke, but I don't smoke in my company.
We're not supposed to.
Smoking in vehicles, that kills our sale price on our vehicles. I can take a service truck that is nicer than another one that I sell through enterprise auction. And the one that is not as nice, if I walked around it, you walked around it, you'd be like, man, I like that one. But the guy smoked in it, it brings me about $8,000 less every single time. Okay, so I'm all for us having good equipment. I'm all for everybody having stuff, just like Linda said, but I want to make sure we lay it out there. We have to make sure we change what we're doing currently. Because what we're doing currently, this won't work for us. This right here will fail the city. And we'll be so far upside down, we'll never be able to crawl out of the hole. So let's get that question answered, about the mileage through enterprise. I don't know who's gonna hit that, but
I'll call them more.
we need to make sure we answer that. And we need to find it out on both of them, on police, because 25 is not gonna work for police, I know that. Police is gonna put 50,000 a year on the car.
okay, so we're about to come to 7:45. It's a good stopping point, I believe. Donna, do you have anything else on this page?
No.
Anything else on this page?
Yes, she had a engagement. She had-
Okay. Kevin, anything else? Chris?
No, ma'am.
I have one question.
Okay,
Go
Annette?
to the second page. Okay, when,
Second page in the book or on this tab?
Second page in one of the, which is expenses.
Okay.
Okay. The, items there for the increase for license, did y'all still want them to check on that, or?
Yeah, just a clarification on, because there was an amount, there was nothing for actuals 2019, 2020, yet we're budgeting, you look at both of them combined, about $18,000, so I have a question about that.
Well,
Okay.
that's back to we're putting it all in one. So
Yeah.
basically one of those.
But it needs to be broken out.
Or one, yeah.
Okay, so I believe this is probably a good stopping point. I want to thank everyone for your time and for being here. Thank you to our citizens for coming. And before we adjourn, though, we do have a citizens input. I will allow Annette to read that.
Okay, this was submitted by Rob Myers. It is in reference to the hotel occupancy tax fund usage and the Lake Tawakoni Regional Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Mayor and council members, I would like to address two comments that were made at the Monday, August 24th meeting. While discussing possible use of the hotel occupancy tax funds, a council member suggested that we might use those funds to help our police department. I am fully aware, being as I am a director of the West Tawakoni EDC, that those funds may not be used on any other projects other than those that promote tourism and to attract visitors to stay in the various hotels, bed and breakfast cabins, etc., that the occupancy taxes are collected from. However, I do commend council members Featherston, Kettner, and Burkett for making the suggestion. They all knew that those funds were not going to be available. However, they were willing to ask, and that is commendable. We are living in extraordinary times, and every avenue should be explored to help fund the different departments of our city, and our council members need to be kept informed when those funds are moved. Our police, fire, and water departments are vital to health and safety of our citizens, and they need to be funded adequately to serve all of us. The comment that was made about the amphitheater project not being a priority in part is true. However, I hope to see the funds that were collected be kept for future use on approved projects, and that the city will set aside funds to see this project come to fruition for our visitors and citizens. Calvin and Stella Travers brought this project to Leon and I 2 years ago, and we gladly accepted on behalf of West Tawakoni Friends of the Park to help with it. The comment that was made by a council member regarding the amphitheater project and the comment about the Lake Tawakoni Chamber of Commerce, I felt was unkind and hurtful. The chamber is a great source to advertise and promote our city and any upcoming events that may present. The directory that the chamber produces has given us widespread recognition by means of a 2-page spread that features information about the city and highlights our events and happenings. The council member pointed out that the last director had printed information that was incorrect. That may be true. However, in defense of the chamber, there was no information or photos given to the chamber executive director to produce the 2-page spread. She repeatedly called, emailed, and even went to City Hall to gather information, but could not get anyone to give her information that she needed. She called me frantically looking for any information that I may have or to ask if I knew anyone that could help her with the search. One day before the directory went to print, she and another council member who was called as a last-ditch effort had to hurriedly put something together. Information from past directories and photos from Facebook and other sources were used to put the spread together. Any information that was used was hurriedly compiled so that the directory could be sent to the printing company. So if errors were made, it falls on the non-communication of our city. I feel that it was unfair and inappropriate to place blame regarding those errors in that article on the chamber, who was only trying to promote and market our city. I find it offensive that one of our council members would call out the chamber in a public forum. Many of you may not realize that the Lake Tawakoni Regional Chamber of Commerce was founded here in West Tawakoni. They have been very good to us in the past and will always try to accommodate any of our needs. All we have to do is ask. Thank you for your time, Robin Myers.
Is that all we have? Thank you very much to our citizens. Thank you to our council members and our representatives from the city for helping us. We're going to adjourn this workshop at this time. If we have a vote, Kevin? We have a motion from Kevin, a second from Chris. All in favor, please indicate by stating your name.
Chris Burkett.
Kevin Featherston.
Linda Katner. And Rhonda has left for the evening. So we will adjourn at
and that's when their stream cut off. So it's just sitting there spinning and buffering. I'm not sure exactly what happened. It seems to be a technical error on the city's end. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Hey, Code, how you doing?
No. What's up, dude? No, they killed
This
the
might
stream.
help a little bit.
Does this help any?
Okay.
Hello?
It does.
Hey. It does?
Okay, I'll kill that and let them put it to private because that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, fucking.
Oh, I had
Yeah.
a problem.
Hmm?
Sorry, I was about to talk to somebody in the other room. I forgot that I'm on a live stream.
Oh, you want to just kill it
happens from
and,
time to time.
since they killed their fucking stream?
Dude, yeah, because I mean, what do you say? What do you really say? I mean, so honestly,
I'm going to allow it to be read. That's what I'm going to say.
right. Yeah, if you look at what's going on here, you can see similarities to what we've been seeing in these other councils. So it's really just a repeat of something we've already seen. They're spending other people's money. I'm glad that somebody is questioning these budgets. So I'm looking forward to sticking around and seeing where all this goes because these budget meetings can change everything. They really can, and I mean, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to a lot of people, but some people have a real hard time paying their taxes. Right. And then on top of that, so, there's a lot of money that they're talking about, a lot of money. Remember that there's only 1,900 people in this town. It's approximately 2 miles wide. And I heard them say that their police vehicles, as in each vehicle,
50,000.
would put approximately 50,000 miles.
How the
per
fuck
year.
do you do that in 2 miles wide?
Well, I'm guessing there's a lot of driving back and forth, probably writing a lot of traffic citations, which bring more revenue to the city. Right. And they were also talking about putting the code enforcement under the sewer and the water department. Right. Which is, that seems like a pretty good idea because those guys should be going around town anyway. Right. So you don't have a separate vehicle going out just to write tickets. But then again, they're just writing tickets. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. And there's already complaints from the citizens about code enforcement, as there always is. Right. Because code enforcement gets to write tickets and then you have to come to court and fight that shit. Well, they still get paid. And if you notice at the beginning of the meeting, they were talking about employees having to pay their own insurance. Right. Well, fuck. Of course you have to pay your own insurance. Isn't that what you do at jobs? You at least have to pitch in, right? So
yeah, at least half.
Yeah, come on. Just a government. If they're going to run this like a business, then they need to run it like a business.
Right.
Right. But businesses don't get to go up and down the street outside there. If people are walking around in their stores, they don't get to go up to them with a gun and demand that they give them more money. Right. And citations and taxation is the exact same thing. If somebody cannot afford to pay their taxes, eventually somebody with a gun will come and remove them from their home. So this is like I said, this is something that goes on everywhere.
Part of the problem.
It's part of the problem. And I don't really know what the solution is. All I can do is bitch about it and hope that the people can come up with their solution. Yeah. I hear that there's protest in Dallas right now. So if you guys are still sticking around, joining us on the Greater Watchdog News Network, David Boren on YouTube. As a matter of fact, if you'll hold on just a second, I will get that link and then I'll post that link, and then we'll run an outro and get the fuck out of here.
Hey, I got one other thing that came in.
Okay, what's that?
So, Powers created a pool.
Yes,
for-
he did create a pool for Safety Man.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to get in with my other account so I can post it to the.
Yeah, and we appreciate, Safety Man does a lot for a lot of people, and he's never asked for anything. And that's a sad deal. I haven't spoken to him, but I just heard about it just before you said something. So we should, if you can help out, if you got a few extra bucks, if you can slide him towards Safety Man, that'd be nice. He's got to bury his mama now.
Yeah.
Along with everything else that's going on.
Exactly.
So I love you, man. I'm sorry about that.
Love you, man. Yeah, I love him too, man.
All right, let's see if we can get a.
So here's David. You want me to bring it?
Oh no, let's start a new stream if we're gonna do that. I'm gonna run an outro. Fuck the police.
Fuck the police.